everybody. Welcome back to Sarah's Table. Pew, 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 pew. Those are kind of like very calm finger guns today. Like no triggers, apparently. It was just pointer guns. I don't know. Hi, welcome back. My name is Sarah Moore. My pronouns are she, her. I'm going to be your host today and your player and favorite person. I'm going to remind you to drink some water because you are probably dehydrated. Feels nice. Hi, how has everybody been? It has been kind of a long week. Last weekend was C2E2. I was there for a little bit of time, not like a terribly long amount of time, but I got to run a game of D&D for a couple of puppets and Travis McElroy, which was very fun. We didn't do anything that I prepared, which I am not surprised at all. And then on Sunday, I ran a game called, wow, I don't remember what it was called. Rough Magic and Revolution Brewing partnered up and made a game that is based on just using a single D20 so that you can pick it up and do it very easily. And it is based on a line of beers that Revolution Brewing made, and that's your character class. And we went on a pre-written adventure and sort of took a hard left kind of immediately. But listen, we made it through. We found the perfect beer, and that is what's important. And that was super fun. And then I got to walk Artist Alley a bit. Listen, I got some cool stuff. Let me see. I think I have it right here. Yeah. Heck yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's take a minute. One of my very favorite things down at Disney World is Orange Bird, which is just silly because it's not technically a Disney character, but I found this artist who did this with a little orange bird and a little Dole Whip, and I'm super excited, and it got me even more excited about going down to my trip. We're going to do a family trip this summer to Disney, and I'm jazzed about it. I picked up a couple of stickers. They're all the same, so I can hand them out to people. This one says, oh gosh, I don't know if you're going to be able to read that. Let's put my hand behind it. Yeah, it says turned out queer because I did. Oops. It is coming up on May the 4th. And so in honor of that, one of the things I got was a brand new print of the OG Princess Leia. Love her. She's one of my faves. And then the last thing that I picked up, aside from a ton of business cards of artists because everything was so beautiful, was some Kiki, a little foil stamped Kiki. Love it. Everybody at C2E2, all the artists were so incredibly talented. Like I said, I took a ton of business cards. I'm really excited to connect with a couple of them to commission maybe some pieces for the show or just for myself. I like art a lot. I need to find a space to put all of these cool boys up. Apparently I can't make bags work, which is a problem. I'm doing so good, everyone. I did it. I did it. Good job, me. And then I think the next convention I'm going to be at is Gen Con in August. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be hanging out at the Gen Con TV booth this year in the X Hall. I am running a live Sarah's Table, which should be rad because it's going to be an extension of my retrograde series by Grant Howitt that has my players be Becca Godsey and well, I don't know which one I should call him. I'm going to say Patrick Keefe, who's that great gentleman. He's trying to rebrand. We're doing it. I'm helping you out. Okay. And then, I might pop up in a couple of other places. We're going to do an Actoroki performance. We're going to potentially, I'm going to slip in again with the Perception Studio guys. I don't know. It's going to be fun. Come and find me. I'm going to have a bunch of rad stuff to check out. But today, I am going to be doing a solo RPG. And I think that I have figured out that the best way, the best time for me to do these solo RPGs is right after a convention. Because, whoo boy, organizing a full table post convention is it's just a lot. So today, I have found a game called Princess with a Cursed Sword. It's a solo role playing game by Anthropy. You can get it on itch.io. It is, listen, $2, $2. It is the suggested. But if you don't have $2 that you can throw at Anna, you can also just get it for free. Although I suggest it would be good to toss them those $2. You don't need a lot for it. In order to play, you need a deck of tarot cards. You need two coins. It says of any land. The easiest thing for me to get my hand on was quarters at this moment. But like, if you have some cool coins that you can designate one side heads and one side not heads, then great. Okay, I know I said heads and not heads, as opposed to heads and tails. But in the description of this game, it says heads and not heads, as opposed to heads and tails. Make of that what you will. And then the only other thing you need to have is somewhere to record your story. This is meant to be played in about 30 minutes to an hour. So we are going to see how far I'm going to pull this out, but check it out. As always, I don't know how you feel about tarot cards, what your particular practice is, if you even have a practice, but if you are using tarot cards and they are a deck of tarot cards that you feel strongly about in like being able to use divination or using them as an oracle, it is always a good practice for you to sort of check in and ask your oracle card or your oracle cards or your tarot cards if it's okay to use them in a game, and also to like thank them afterwards. It never hurts anyone to be polite, just in general. I'll let you sit with that for a second. All right. All right. Princess with a Cursed Sword. A figure stands in an ancient ruin, bare feet on crumbling stone, her gown far too fine, her sword much too dark. At a princess's coming of age ceremony, an uninvited guest gifted her a sword, then vanished, laughing into smoke. She cannot put it down until she finds the place it came from. So she has come. I've gathered all my things. The very first thing I'm going to do is make sure that this tarot deck is freshly shuffled. Make sure that this is something that we are doing well. Immediately, one just jumped out. Let's take a minute. Let's see what this is. Ooh. Okay. The Four of Swords. I'm going to take a second and I'm going to remind myself what the Four of Swords means, because maybe that is going to let me know how things go today. Four of Swords. Oh, how nice. The Four of Swords is a card in the tarot deck that represents rest, relaxation, and recuperation. And my tarot deck is cat deck. I know. This is like the world being like, Sarah, take a minute. You've had a lot going on, and I absolutely have, and it's okay because I am resting right now. I am actually wrapped in a blanket. It is very cozy. I am sitting here in my streaming station. I've got my water. I have some snacks. My snacks are actually little animal crackers because they're adorable as well as delicious. All right. And everything is trying to tell me to slow down, which is exactly why I'm doing kind of a more chill episode today. Here we go. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. All right. I am freshly shuffled. Let's find out who this princess is. There are a couple of questions. It's not very many, it's only four. And there are some options that are given, and you obviously can choose on your own. I like to do things, especially when I'm doing it on the show. I like to do as much things as I can in a random fashion. If there is a table, I am going to use a table. And this is not necessarily the exact rules of the game, but I am going to use a D6. I have a really pretty purpley pink one right here. It's kind of swirly. It is from my bucket of D6s. Here we go. And I'm going to roll to determine what each of the answers to each of these questions. Here we go. What does her gown signify? I got a 2. It is her humble beginnings. I think that this princess comes from a common family. And I think that this family was sort of elevated into the monarchy through marriage. I think her mother married the king and she became the princess. Not a terribly original story, and yet here we are. This princess, I think, oh gosh, let's see. I think that they still have the mark. I think that her mother was a blacksmith. And so I think that her gown has a lot of things on it, or at least a symbol that sort of weaves that anvil of the blacksmith into the royal symbol. Let's see. So how about the royal symbol is a phoenix, and then her family crest has an anvil from the blacksmith. And so it's like a phoenix rising out of the fires of the forge with the anvil on it. I think it's really probably pretty beautiful. I think her gown is black and has the phoenix in reds and yellows and oranges kind of coming out of the forge with the silver throughout. Sounds like a really dope outfit. If somebody could draw it and or make it, I would wear it. I like it. Why are her feet bare? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Highwaymen. Oh, perhaps she was recently robbed on her way to this place to figure out what was happening. She was overtaken. They did not take the sword because they cannot take the sword. And she absolutely was not going to let them have her gown. So I think they took her shoes, like her boots, and then they also probably took her pack, which means that she is out. She's got just her sword and the clothes on her back, and that is it. What does her sword want? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get to make it up. There were some options. It was blood, secrets, to see beauty twisted, to call forth the dead, or something else. So I get to choose the something else. I think this sword wants the truth, which I think is can be a very frustrating thing for people because the truth should be objective. It should be like, these are the facts and this is what is happening. Um, but I think often it is viewed in such a subjective way. Your truth is not necessarily my truth. And I think that the truth, capital T, that the sword is looking for is not like the fact that 2 + 2 = 4, but it's the fact, it is who you are at your core. It is your personal truth. It is the thing that you stand for and you need. And it is, I think it is searching for that. It wants that from its wielder. And I think this princess is, I think this princess is perhaps trying to deny her truth. And I think that means that it's sort of provoking the sword. What are her pronouns? Again, I rolled something else. She, her, hers, he, him, his, they, them, theirs, something else. I think this princess is she, they, which is perhaps part of this truth that she is having a problem with. Um, it does make a note that while this text uses she, her, a princess may have any pronouns so desired, which makes a lot of sense. And I am going to give this princess a name. That is not the thing that's not a step here written, but I think names are important. I like names. I think they hold a lot of power for folk. So I would like to name her. My thoughts on their name. I mean, let's go really. Okay, looking up. I really like to name people using like the flower language. I'm eventually gonna run out of it, I think, but I really like the idea of, this flower language that you used to be able to communicate with. And so a lot of people have come up with all of these things. Um, okay. Iris, the iris represents hope through its ability to adapt to various environments. And so I think that this princess's name is Iris. Okay, Iris. We are now going to explore some ruins with Iris, and it should be as if you're writing a fairy tale. And so this particular journaling game suggests that you write it in third person, as if you were writing a fairy tale. And to take a moment whenever you face a challenge to look at what the princess notices, feels, and remembers. Okay, so we're going to go to our delightful tarot deck to explore the ruins. So the princess walks up to the ruins. She has been accosted on the road. There has been a lot of rough journey and terrain to get here. They are out seeking truth. So that they can put down this sword. The first thing I turned over was Major Arcana. So the princess walks up and finds a shrine in disrepair. She's a little afraid, I think. Not afraid. That's not the right word. She is cautious. They walk up to the front of the shrine. Should not be in disrepair this way. And she pokes her head in. And inside this shrine, there is a spirit in the center of the room, floating. We are at a challenge. The shrine, the spirit in the center of the shrine turns and looks at the princess and starts aggressively coming forward. Here we go. Gonna face a challenge. I use my 2 coins. I have to flip. I have to flip the coins. I am not good at flipping coins. Ah. Okay. First one is heads. Second one is also heads. With 2 heads, she achieves her goal with frightening prowess. Oh. So this spirit comes racing at Iris, and Iris, without hesitation, swings her sword almost instinctively, swings this giant sword, and kind of scrunches up her face as she cuts through the spirit. And the sword sucks up the spirit. And when Iris opens their eyes, she flashes back and sees all of this spirit's life, sees the truth. The truth of this spirit is that they feel guilty for letting the shrine be in disrepair, and so have been. And so have and so they have been trying to scare people away from it because they don't want anyone to see their shame. But she can also see, excuse me, goodness, a little froggy today. Iris can also see the shrine the way that it should be, the way that it used to be, and can only use one hand because cannot put the sword down, but starts kind of putting the shrine back into place and feels the sword ease a little bit. Is this where the sword belongs? I don't think so. I don't think the sword is here for this. When Iris puts the shrine back together as best she can, they exit and they move on deeper into the ruins. More arcana. Next, Iris stumbles upon hollow voices. There is an area, a bleak, desolate area that feels like it goes on forever. Iris stumbles into it. Her feet hurt. She's been walking for ages. She's tired. She takes a seat. And as she's sitting, trying to just have a moment to recharge, wishing that her pack had not been taken, wishing there was a stream somewhere that she could get a glass of water, these voices start up around her, whispering about how they will never be good enough and that they will be trapped here forever. They'll be stuck in this endless landscape with nothing around them. And for a moment, I think Iris begins to believe it. They feel in their body just an immense amount of exhaustion. And they do think, you know what, maybe it would be nice to just sit here and be done. We're gonna toss some coins, see how we do. One heads. One not heads. With just one head, she achieves her goal, but it is tenuous or costly. I think it is very hard for Iris. I think Iris is feeling the weight of this quest, would just like to put the sword down, would just like to be finished. And the voices are starting to make a whole lot of sense to them. If we could just stay right here, things might be easier. But the sword warms in her touch. And it reminds her that this is about her truth. This is about their story. This is about the way that being authentic and being yourself and understanding who you are. And I think they're clawing at Iris. These voices have sort of almost brought on like a physical form, but it's psychic. It's pulling at her soul, at her spirit. And I think she ends up, it rips some of her clothing away. It takes some of that anvil out of her, like out of her clothing, like the patch on the front, the embroidery it's frayed and taken out. And Iris starts to feel less of a connection to her past. And I think that is the thing that it has cost. I don't think that this is where the sword belongs either. I don't think the sword wants this place. So we move deeper into the ruins. And we get the Six of Pentacles. Pentacles, which is coins here in this here. Okay, here we go. Coins. Iris stumbles upon cloaked thieves yet again into a camp with some very rough travelers in cloaks, and they absolutely mean them harm. They try to steal the only thing of value that they view is left, which is the sword. And Iris has a moment of wanting just to give it to them, but knows that this is not where it belongs. So let's see. I dropped it. Oh. Okay. Got one tails. We got, oh no, we got a second tails. Okay. If you throw no heads, the princess falters and barely escapes with her life. These are bad people. And as they are trying to take the sword from what they view as a pretty defenseless person, there is a mighty struggle. And the princess comes out the other side, bloodied and scared, and probably a little broken. I think she is limping as she moves forward. And I think that one of their wrists is having to be put into a makeshift sling. I think they have a bloody nose. I think they no longer look like lush royalty. Their gown is tattered and torn and dirty. And they come out without any help from anyone. And this is also not where the sword belongs. So they go deeper into the ruins. The next thing I drew was the Page of Swords. Swords means that they have come to a precarious height. There is a cliff suddenly appearing. They teeter on the edge of the cliff. Iris looks down and knows that in order for her to continue her journey, they have to cross this chasm. But looking down, it's so high, they can't see the bottom. They take a rock, they drop it, not ever hearing it hit below. And there's no way it stretches farther than they can see either side. So let's see how they make it across. One head, that's good. Other one is okay. Achieves her goal, but is tenuous or costly. Okay. There's a big chasm. It turns out Iris didn't realize it because they've never been up high, up as high as this, but they're pretty scared of heights. And they take a look around, knowing they have to get across, hoping there's some sort of bridge. And there is a tree that has fallen. And they have to walk across to where they could get to the other end. This tree spans the chasm like a bridge, but it's wedged. It's not firmly, its roots are not firmly in one side, and its top branches are not really strongly on the other side. And it is probably old and dying and maybe hollow, and there's bugs crawling all over it, and it's scary. And she takes one step, takes a deep breath, and then they take another step, take a deep breath, keeping their eyes on the other side of the chasm, just forward, eyes on the prize. We can make it across. When they get about halfway, they feel the things shifting underneath them. They can feel it. It's giving way. It's going to fall. And they are exactly at that halfway point. They could go back. They know that side is thicker, and they've walked it. They know where their feet should fall. But she knows she has to get to the other side to continue on with this journey. The sword is spurring her on. And for a moment, she is just almost paralyzed with this. What do I do? I don't know what to do. And then the tree starts to fall, starts to give way, and she sprints forward towards the other side of the chasm. Can't go back. And as she gets near the end, the tree is rapidly falling, and she leaps off of it and pushes off of it and jumps and grabs the other side of the chasm, pulls herself up, but in doing so, wrenches one of her shoulders out of socket and has to figure out how to put it back in, which is just not something that she's very good at. So now that left side of her body, the left side of her upper body, at least, it's fully useless. She rips the hem of her skirt, and turns it into a sling so that she just is immobilized that side. She's got nothing left there, just one hand, and it's full of sword. I don't think this is where the sword belongs either. We have not returned to the sword yet. Next, we have cups as we venture further in. And it is quiet here. It is too quiet. There is a lot of vegetation. And Iris keeps seeing something out of the corner of her eye. Can't figure out what it is. Something is following her. And it is her own shadow. But it's not behaving properly. It's not behaving the way that she is behaving currently. It's close, but just barely out of sync. And she looks over and freezes. For a second, the shadow freezes, and then it stops freezing. And it starts making this repetitive movement. It looks like it's hammering something there in the center, just like going against something. And this Iris realizes that she has seen this movement. She's seen this movement before. It is someone hammering on a forge. It is someone making blades, making swords. It looks so much like her mother that for a moment they think maybe it is a picture of their mother, but she's like, it's a little bit too slight. It's a little bit too short. It is definitely Iris. And Iris's shadow is trying desperately to tell them that she is supposed to be a smith. And she has been denying that for a long time. She doesn't want, she got very excited when her mother married the king. And because who doesn't want to be a princess? The idea that you can have things without much effort is very attractive, especially to children who have maybe had not so much growing up. But she is denying who she is at her core. And I think that she is trying to, there's this thing inside her that has been pushing. Let's see how she deals with it. Ba-ba. Uh-oh, no heads. One head. Achieves her goal, but it is tenuous or costly. there's something, she's scared of this. Not really even scared, more angry. She does not want to work this hard all the time. She remembers what it was that her mother did and how exhausted she was when she got home every night and how stressed she was, trying desperately to make all of these things. And Iris doesn't want to have to do that with their life. Iris wants to know that they are taken care of and that they when they have children, if they have children, that those children are not going to be in danger of not having enough food or not knowing where they're going to live or sleep. And so they actually take the sword and they swing it and they break up that shadow and start wrestling with it a little bit. And they wrestle their shadow back to attach it to their feet where they belong. But they can feel how upset the shadow is, like through their feet. The shadow is back where it belongs and has been chastised, but it feels like walking on hot coals. Her feet are starting to burn a little bit. And as they move deeper into the ruin, she could almost like feel this like disappointment from the sword. The sword knows that this is her truth and is upset with them. We could have said that could have been it. We did it. You were shown the way. The sword sort of buzzes. All right. Deeper. Keep going deeper. We've gone deeper into the ruins with a wands card. They come to a door. A door in the middle of the woods, sort of overgrown by vines. And there's something telling Iris to just try the door. And it's locked. And she starts to walk away. That sword is pulling at her, and her shadow is pulling at her. Her feet grow hot the further she gets away from the door, and her shoulder is throbbing along with her wrist, and she's still limping. And she moves back to the door. There is something about it. Looking deeper at it, she can see that there's some carvings on it, and the carvings on it indicate a fire and a forge. She sees a hammer. And she knows that this is the correct place for her. She wants to not go through it. There's a big part of her that is still trying very hard to deny herself this. But she's going to get through that door. All right. First one is ahead. Second one is ahead. It's two heads. She achieves her goal with frightening prowess. She tries to be delicate. She's trying to get through without harming the door. She's trying to be more ladylike, more of a princess. She's rattling the door and she's trying to delicately pick at the lock, and she's having such a hard time. And the sword is buzzing and humming. And finally, Iris realizes that the truth, capital T truth, is that she is a blacksmith just like her mother. And she can no longer deny that. She takes a step back. She looks at this door, kind of tilts her head and realizes that she can take this. She can go right through this door. She lifts her sword and she slams it against the lock and then kicks at it and uses the force of her body to open the door. It crashes open, and looking through the door, she can see a quiet forge. It's the blacksmith shop that her mother used to run before she married the king. And it is cold and still and not being used. And that is where she belongs. She is supposed to go in and make sure that she stokes that fire again and gets things going. And she takes a moment where she thinks, maybe I shouldn't go through. But her shadow starts pushing at her again. Her feet feel like they're on fire, and that warmth is spreading up her legs. And the sword is humming and pulling at her body painfully, trying to get her to go. And she knows if you walk through that door, they are going to be where they belong. That is her truth. Big T truth. And she also knows that this is where the sword belongs. So, in order to break the curse, the princess can make a sacrifice, or she can keep it if the sword promises her something. So she holds the sword up in her hand and she touches the blade with her injured side. And the sword promises her that it will always remind her who they are supposed to be. And I think, as much as she desperately wanted to get rid of that sword, I think that Iris is grateful for that and decides that they are going to keep it. So they step through the door and it swings shut behind them, blocking out the ruins. And she finds that she's able to put the sword down again. It is always there. It is kind of a part of her at this point, but she is not stuck with this sword in her hand anymore. And so the sword gets put up on the wall. I think Iris restarts the forge in the village and is able to heal and rest. And there's a comfort in knowing that they are doing what they are supposed to do with their life. And because of that, they feel really fulfilled. And that's the epilogue of Iris's journey. Okay. I really enjoyed this game. It is much heavier on storytelling than it is on mechanics, which I really enjoy. This is definitely a game that I think at the end of it, you have written a very cool fairy tale. And like all fairy tales, it very much has like a moral. And I don't know if that's just how I came up with it. I have been sort of raised on fairy tales. I really love fairy tales. They're one of my favorite forms of storytelling. And anytime I can get like a retelling of a fairy tale, I grab that book and just devour it. And so I really like this. I think you need to be very prepared to provide all of the details. It's a very rules light because it is so rules light, it's very easy to pick up and start playing. You know, you just need this little chart and you just need your coins and your tarot cards. And I really love it as a storytelling exercise. And I'm really excited about maybe exploring it a little bit more and doing more storytelling with it. I think you should definitely pick it up because throwing an artist $2 is really good. It's really impressive. I want you to do it. Also, I just noticed that one of the playtesters was Tim Hutchings, who did 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. So that's pretty dope. It was a very small team who did the playtesting and everything. And I want everybody to please support people who are making it. I'm going to let you all get back to your Friday night. You can find me all over the internet at Pixies and Pins. My website is pixiesandpins.com. You can find me here every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific for Sarah's Table. Next week, we are going to be playing a session of Flabbergasted with the new expansion called Mystified. They are in the process of kickstarting that. So we're going to do that. And then after that, we're going to play Cowboys with Big Hearts with Jason Morningstar, who's going to be hopping on the show with me. And I'm very excited about that. And then we're going to get into a couple of episodes of Vanishing Lands, which is by my partner, Jeff Moore. And it's available for purchase, which you should do. Thank you very much to my team over at Gen Con TV, Marcus Mays, who is the tech, who is keeping us running smoothly, Peter Atkinson, who trusts me to program all of these shenanigans. Gen Con in general for just like giving me this platform that I can get eyeballs on games that would not normally have eyeballs on them. Super excited about that. And to all of you at home for hanging out with me, this is why I get to keep making stuff. And if it wasn't for you, I might have to get a grown-up job, which sounds foolish. I don't want that. And thank you to Anna Anthropy for making Princess with the Cursed Sword. It's a really sweet little fairy tale game that I think that you can make as dark or as light as you would like. If you do play this game, please find me on socials. Let me know how it went. Tell me about your princess and what you discovered. Yeah, one more sip of water before we go. And as always, keep making art and keep being art. We'll see you next time. Mwah.